Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. So we are going to jump right into the discussion on radio promotion. So thank you so much to our panelists for joining us tonight. And if we could just go around, have you guys briefly say your name and pronouns, company, position, and your clients, that would be great. So could we start with Marco?
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. My name is Marco Rojas from New Jersey, currently residing in Portland. I'm the radio promotions coordinator at Syndicate, currently working records from Disclosure, Cut Copy, the Avalanches, tons of big electronic acts, as well as handling all the hip hop radio promo there. So working with artists like 070 Shake and Chance the Rapper, Brockhampton, Kevin Abstract of Brockhampton, Stormzy, tons of UK artists. Yeah, stuff like that.
Awesome. Thank you. And how about you, Cathy?
Hi, my name is Cathy Allen, and I am in Baltimore, Maryland, and I am the diversity inclusion media expert with iHeart Media. And I have my own platform here at iHeart Media, the Black Business Collective iHeart, and it's a fabulous platform that supports African American businesses, CEOs, and entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, Cathy. And how about you, Rupa?
Hey everybody, my name is Roopa Srivastava. I am the former promotions coordinator for a market in Baltimore with iHeart. And I went to Towson University, actually majored in radio and audio. So I came from a background of that kind of experience. So I was super happy with my position and everything that I did there. And we worked with a ton of local people, a lot of companies. We worked with a lot of venues like Capital One, the Anthem. We did a lot of stuff at Rams Head Live, and we worked a lot with people like Cathy, and we worked with the programming side of everything, and we put on some really good shows. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so happy to have all of you guys, like we said, so thank you so much. Mia, do you want to take it away with the first question?
Sure. So the first question is, what are some obstacles you normally face while doing radio promotion?
Sure, I'll take this one. Yeah, I feel like one of the biggest things a lot of promoters are facing is really like getting people on the phone, and not only really getting them on the phone, but getting them to understand or to listen to the records that you're working. Right, you're dealing with program directors and people at radio stations that are getting hounded by hundreds of people to play their music and things like that. So I think getting people on the phone and really getting access to these people and getting them to listen is definitely something that, a lot of promoters are, some struggles promoters face. But on the flip side, I would say during COVID, and I don't know, this might come up in another question, but I feel that recently there's been a lot of people that have, are usually harder to get to, but are now working from home and have a lot of free time and they're not taking meetings. So I think that, with everything happening, it's actually kind of, a good opportunity for people to really get a hold of some of these programmers that are now available and, taking meetings and doing everything digitally.
And I can kind of get into the more promotion side of that. So anytime we did a radio promotion, the main thing was to make sure that everything was done legally and correctly. That was definitely the biggest thing, always the first thing, talk to legal, main thing, go there. So that was definitely one of the biggest things that we had to do. And we worked closely with the programs directors because a lot of the stuff, it's their stations. So we wanted to make sure that whatever we were promoting or giving away, which is mainly what we did in promotions with giveaways, tickets, that kind of stuff, it made sense with what the program director was doing for the next 2 weeks. So what they were playing, what new music was coming out, what events are coming that makes sense with that. So it's a lot of mapping out and planning and making sure that everything is cohesive and just kind of makes sense. So that was definitely one of the stuff that, especially again with the pandemic happening, a lot of concerts are getting postponed. People can't come in to get stuff. So it was a different way of trying to map out the giveaways that we had.
Yes.
Great. And yeah, and Marco, you called it, what have you guys noticed a major shift in listeners due to the pandemic?
Yeah, I was gonna say I did notice in the very beginning, kind of like February, March, when things were, becoming very public and things were starting to get worse, numbers were getting really high. Um, at least in the like non-commercial and college, especially radio world, we saw a lot of people kind of like panic and shut down. Like there were stations that just disappeared. People weren't having access to their studios. Programming wasn't going the same. A lot of people really just were unsure of what was going to happen. But I do think that a lot of these, the stations and the programmers and all the people involved really came together to kind of make sure that things stayed the same and, try to keep things, moving forward at a steady pace. So yeah, it's wild. And I know the numbers in the beginning were kind of down as far as like listenership and even just stations being active, but it's kind of different everywhere you look. I mean, I've seen articles that are saying that, radio's listenership has been down, but I also noticed that in the very beginning, especially in the college world, we actually saw radio listenership go up. I know a lot of people aren't commuting, so maybe like pop radio takes a hit, talk show radio takes a big hit, but we were also seeing, people kind of seeking out that sense of like connectivity and being able to listen to someone's voice and kind of go through everything that's happening with the pandemic with someone else and really like hearing someone's voice and kind of going through those things together. Yeah, so it's been a ton of change, but it's things are going well, I think.
Yeah, and just highlight what Marco said, that familiarity that comes with the host of those day parts, the audience thrives that because it gives some sort of normacy. So yeah, so I can see it going up and listenership going up and things of that nature. Mm-hmm.
And I was just gonna add on saying that, like Marco said, definitely during the beginning of it, everybody's normal routine completely changed. People aren't driving anywhere, which is a lot of our hotspots, morning, midday, afternoon type of thing. So since that's not happening anymore, not as much anymore, everybody's routine completely changed. And they have access to it through different medias, through online, the app, smart speakers are a huge thing with it now. So I think as people are starting to come to their new normal and their new routine, I think, the amount of listeners, obviously there's dedicated listeners who still stuck by it, still listen, all that kind of stuff. But I think once people kind of get into their new groove, I think it's going to go back up and just become kind of somewhat normal to what it was.
The next question is, why do you think radio is such a big part of music culture?
Pretty good question.
I can start with that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a variety of what to listen to. And let me give you an example. I was never a news talk listener, but here lately, the news talk has my ear because I can just put it on while I'm sitting here at this desk and get all of the latest news. And the one that I tune into the most, and particularly all day, is BIN, the Black Information Network. And that is that brand new 24-hour Black talk news station. And I'm just addicted to it because it gives that perspective, the Black voice. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to add on, with radio, it's not only just listening to your favorite music anymore, you get an experience that's added on with it. You call in, you get to win tickets to meet your favorite artists, you get meet and greets, you can win a trip to go see them in a different country even. And you get this personal connection that you get with an artist that you won't get anywhere else, especially I think that's why artists still do their radio tours. You know, they come around, they do it, they cut liners, they want to make sure that the listeners who are listening to their music know that they acknowledge them in some way. So, you know, they get happy when they listen to them and they hear their hometown, you know, their artists say their hometown or something like that. So I think it gives them a connection that the listeners and the artists actually appreciate. So it's a whole different experience that I don't think any other platform does besides radio.
Yeah, to add to that, I totally agree with both of your guys' points. I think that, you know, to speak to Cathy's point, one of the really important things about radio is, you know, understanding, you know, being able to listen to these different people's perspectives, people within your community, in your market and things like that. And really, it's refreshing to be able to hear someone that, you know, is a stranger to you, you know, share similar struggles and share similar opinions about things. And it's certainly allows for kind of a, you know, for you to be able to learn and kind of just sit back and listen and just absorb this sort of knowledge that's kind of, you know, that's out there now, and that has been out there with radio. And to add to what Rupa was saying, again, totally 100,000% agree with you. I think that radio is essential with developing relationships, not only with your artists and the programmers and the stations themselves, but it's a unique platform. It allows for artists and stations and fans to engage with each other in a way that really isn't available on a lot of different platforms. One thing I always like tell people that, like, you know, I always found so special about radio is that exactly, is the engagement and the opportunity to do different things, to, you know, hear your artist, whether it's on an interview or like engage with them and be able to call in and things like that. Just the relationship that exists at that platform is so different than it is anywhere else. And it's much more engaging and just a lot more immersive, I feel.
Definitely. And you know, Cathy and Rupa, I am curious, how does iHeart Media incorporate the Black Business Collective onto their platform?
Well, you know, the Black Business Collective, this is a brand new platform. It was launched back July the 13th. And it is my brainchild of bringing the African American community right into the fold and actually having a collective. So iHeart has done a fantastic job to support the platform. There are 3 radio stations that are in the Baltimore market that supports the platform, both in broadcast, social media, and digital platforms. So, and just embracing the platform and allowing, you know, because I'm just coming up on a year with iHeart Media, but was with Radio 1 many moons ago. And I'm celebrating just a year, I would say a couple weeks ago, and to actually have my own platform. Well, that says something about iHeart in the belief of bringing in the African American voices, images, and commerce and business for the community, where before, you know, before the platform, there was no emphasis, if you will, on the African American business owner, CEO, and entrepreneur. Now in this climate, there is a need for it. And folks going in search of African American owned businesses, products, and services. So iHeart sees that and supports that. And the Black Business Collective platform is just one initiative that iHeart has initiated in this climate. And from my understanding, a lot of these initiatives were in talks within 2 years talking about it and laying the foundations for them. And it was perfect timing. So iHeart had already, what's that saying? Preparation is opportunity for success. So iHeart was preparing 2 years back in 2018 for platforms such as this. So go iHeart, I mean, yeah, I got to do all that.
And I will add on to that, like, that's why I'm so happy that Cathy is on this panel as well, because I remember when she first started and it was just like a breath of fresh air. She came in and she knew what she wanted to do. She had this vision and she really brought a lot of great clients to the company that people may not have known of, and it was just really, really nice to see that she knew her market, she knew what she wanted, and she went for it, and she created this great thing. So yeah, I'm very, very happy about that.
Thank you, Rupa. I appreciate that. I'm humbled. Thank you.
That's incredible. That's really, really so inspiring. And, now I'm curious, Marco, I know you spoke to me a little bit about with the Syndicate, helping to sort of start up the hip hop and R&B work there. If you could talk a little bit more about that, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I will say first off, thank you to the Syndicate for everything that they've done, not only for me, but for the community. And just, being able to do this is awesome. So shout out to you guys and them. But yeah, they've been awesome with me, supporting kind of some of the ideas that I had, like you'd mentioned, this like hip hop department that I'm kind of like working at the company. It wasn't there before. I mean, the company had a deep history with working with tons of huge electronic and hip hop artists for a very long time, far before I got there. But, being there and kind of proposing this idea of, focusing on these artists and really developing them, not only working these campaigns to assist, a larger artist and at different formats, but also with developing and working with local acts and, providing people with resources that, maybe weren't available to them prior. They've been really great with that. And since I've been with them, even within the company, they've introduced me to different artists and different just people in the industry that, we're able to work side by side with and, develop each other as professionals and, be very well aware of just kind of the changes that we're making socially. And, the Syndicate's been, again, really good with that stuff, whether it's, donating to different organizations, supporting Black Lives Matter, as well as, educating, using our platform, even on social media, especially to educate our followers and our peers and our friends on kind of the work that we're doing and the history, behind some of the projects and the music that we're working. We've been, during everything really, promoting the history of the music as far as like, rock and roll and like educating people on, the Black history of just popular music in America, whether it's rock or house music or hip hop. The way I see it, I mean, popular music in America is Black music. So the Syndicate's been really, really cool about that and really good about, not putting that in the back burner and putting it up front and educating people and really owning that history has been a great experience.
Awesome. Thank you. Mia, do you want to take it away with the next question?
Yes. How does your company work towards being more inclusive?
I could start with this one. I'll say one thing I know for sure that I've seen firsthand, and even like sat side by side with coworkers and people involved with like hiring interns and stuff like that is a huge one. I've felt that a problem a lot of companies face, especially in the music industry, is having a diverse intern class, providing kids with these opportunities, and letting these people know that the opportunities exist. I think is a huge part. Because we work in an industry and a lot of these companies are not super diverse. And then they're getting interns based on, recommendations or, oh, I know this guy, and it's a lot of relationship based, which is natural in any business. But, a lot of companies, I think, face difficulty kind of navigating around that. And I've seen it firsthand, the Syndicate kind of taking the step forward and using platforms like Indeed, or like, these job search websites, and Facebook, and all these different ways. And even, having employees go to the colleges and speak to students and classes and things like that. Really just making the opportunities available, and letting, students know that these things are there, and broadening the access to the opportunity. Putting things on Indeed makes it, or whatever job search website, makes it so that a kid in college can go Google a music internship and it comes up. It's not something that happens really often. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, Marcella, and students in college, like, trying to find internships, it's not easy if you don't know a lot of people. So I think taking the step forward and putting the opportunities in front of people, so that way you can have a diverse intern class and people can apply from different communities and different socioeconomic levels, like that sort of thing. They've been super aware and focused on.
Mm-hmm. I can give a couple examples, and I'm going to speak on the promotions side, and Rupert would know all about it. At this time, because of the climate, and when being in advertising and serving your clients, and also being in advertising and finding that opportunity is key. And now with promotions, because I know on my platform, because I never saw this, like soul food Thanksgiving, soul food vegan Thanksgiving, and promotions such as that, to allow those brand new restaurateurs that are just opening up and in this climate with their curbside and giving those other options. And I'm now in talks with the promotions department about, yeah, how can we do this soul food Thanksgiving? And let's put a little twist on it. Let's make it vegan and vegetarian. So here it opens up the culture of soul food and that cuisine, and also with those chefs that are turning mushrooms that's tasting like cheesesteak subs. I mean, who does that? That's those vegan chefs. They do it. And here in the Baltimore, Washington area, I mean, they're popping up all over the place because COVID has I know, I'm cooking better in COVID. I mean, I didn't know. I was pretty good in the kitchen. Didn't know it, but now I have the time and I'm having that. So just those opportunities to get that healthy message out with a twist of the soul food. So we're in talks with, and Rupa could tell you, I can come up with more promotions just totally out of the box and really have fun with the advertisers, the listeners, and our supporters. And it just brings it all full circle that that type of promotion is going to be on a pop radio station and not centered to the gospel station. Because, grandma wants her soul food. So that would be the wrong market. That spiritual gospel station would be the wrong market. But the pop station, oh yeah, turning and just having fun with it. So there we go. Rupa, you're up.
Yeah, I can add on to that. So I think going along with what everyone has said, one of the main things that we try to do, I think maybe not once every season, so winter and spring and fall and all that kind of stuff, but we always scheduled a in-college visit. So we would have college kids come to the station, meet the people in the sales department, meet the people in the promotions department, meet the people in the programming department, and we always reached out to all different types of classes. So business, marketing, communications, audio, radio, all that kind of stuff. We tried to expand as much as we could to get as many college students to come in and see that this is also an opportunity for them whether they're just a business student who doesn't know what they want to go to, or they want to go into advertising, or they want to do sales, or they want to do marketing. Media is an option for them, and we are right in their backyard. We are right there. I know I didn't know that iHeart was so close to me until I applied to the job, and I realized I lived like 10 minutes away from them, and I had no idea. So that's something that we've always tried to put out there, get them personally introduced to the people who are running the station and doing everything. And the other thing with Cathy is that we have 4 stations, which are very different. they're each their own market, and they're each their own station. So it kind of allowed us to allowed us to look and broaden our searches and think outside of the box, that, like Cathy said, maybe there is like an advertiser who's out there, but they don't necessarily just have to stay in this one station. Let's figure out a different way to make it work for as many stations as they can. And, that kind of made us a little bit more open-minded to things. So we had great salespeople like Cathy, and, the program directors and everybody, they really worked to try to make it not just their station work, but all the other stations in general. So it was really nice. It's very nice.
Awesome. And, I'm curious, with playlists like top 40 songs on Spotify or New Music Friday or Apple Music, etc., how has the boom in streaming changed the radio industry?
I can definitely say that it's probably like one of the biggest competitors, I guess, for them. So one thing that they have tried to do is, a lot of the radio stations are not only accessible just through the radio, but you can go online, you can use an app. One thing that we also like to push is like smart speakers, which is something that in the whole pandemic situation, a lot of people are using now since they're not going into their car. So, I would say that they're trying to not necessarily be the same and not really compete, but they would like to make it more aware and out there to people that radio is not just something that you do in the car, or you have to have a little radio box to listen to. It's out there, you can listen to it on your phone, there's an app, all that kind of stuff. So they really tried to make it as accessible, I think, is what they're trying to do.
As far as advertising, streaming has become the new norm, or the marriage, if you will, with broadcast. So when you're streaming, and in this climate, the reach and the frequency of streaming digital or streaming display, streaming audio, the reach and the frequency is there for you. And especially that reach, keep in mind that reach. And advertisers has that opportunity just to literally sit in the lap, in the hand, in the ear of their target demographics. And digital is a phenomenon.
Yeah, for sure. I think streaming definitely, I think it's also more like technology, not necessarily just streaming. But to your point about like the playlist, definitely changes, I think, the creative side of like the way music has been made and stuff like that. I don't necessarily think it affects radio too much, maybe a little bit with like, like pop radio, if you have like a song that's doing crazy on streams and a station might feel that they need to be playing this song to, keep, it's what the people want. But I do think that like technology has really changed a lot for radio and just for music and just the way music is created. Now more than ever, you're seeing people, I think, create music that is kind of geared toward certain platforms. Like Spotify is a perfect example. When you think about these playlists, one thing, especially with Spotify, you see are like these mood playlists. There's like chill and like party playlists and like all these different things. And I think you start to see artists the same way they did in the, mid to late 1900s, that were when radio was really booming and music was being mass produced. People were making music that they thought could get played on the radio. I think you see a lot of that with these playlists on Spotify, where there's artists that are huge artists on streaming that you may have not even ever heard of, but they have a song on that like mood playlist. And a lot of artists are like actively aware of that sort of thing. And I think that they're working, to make music for these platforms, even things like TikTok. And when you think about a lot of the big hip hop songs that have been out recently, and even ones that are on the radio, perfect example is like the 2C Slide, Drake. I mean, that song seems like it was made for TikTok and TikTok only, and it was huge. So there's tons of things like that I think, as technology develops, as streaming platforms develop, as social media develops, as radio develops, music is constantly changing, and technology has kind of pushed tastes in different directions. But I think radio has been pretty good about like, keeping things the way that they were, kind of separate from streaming services.
Definitely, and that's actually, speaking of Tussie Slide, it's a perfect segue into our Q&A. So it looks like we have a great question from Vivian. Vivian, if you would want to unmute yourself, feel free to ask your question.
Sure. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you all for being a part of this. This has been really wonderful. But yeah, kind of like we talked about, going off of that last question, my question was that I feel like I've also seen that music trends that have been really popular on TikTok have definitely translated over to radio. So I'm curious what you all think, what impact that pop culture trends such as TikTok have had on radio.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is just, and kind of, I think Cathy was talking about it earlier, is like reach, is the amount of people that you're reaching, and the platform that really allows you just globally to get there. I'm starting to lose the question now. I'm forgetting what the actual question was. Does anyone remember what the exact question was?
Yes. So the question is, it seems that music trends popular on TikTok have translated over to radio.
Yes. So that's the point I was trying to make, I think, is exposure, right? I mean, when a song blows up on TikTok, I mean, I'm seeing TikToks blow up and go viral at a rate that I've never seen it anywhere. Not on Instagram, not on, well, maybe Twitter a little bit, but like, it's insane the amount of viewers and likes and all this engagement that's happening in TikTok. I think that, those TikTok trends definitely, translate to radio, and kind of go to my point before about, just a radio station maybe feeling that they need to play this song because they know that's what's cool and they know that's what the kids like and stuff like that. One song that comes to mind is Roses by St. John. That song came out in like 2017 or something, and it's huge right now in 2020. It was kind of one of those ones that was a slow build, but it's had everything to do with exposure. I mean, no one was super hip to the song when it came out, but when it went viral on TikTok, everyone was like, we need to play this song. We need to listen to this song. Or I got to put this song on my Instagram story when I'm behind my selfie. Like, everybody's on these trends. So I think the biggest effect of these like social media trends and music in radio in particular is just the insane amount of exposure that these tracks are getting, and kind of just paving their own way and making it so that, either you need to get on the train, because if you're not, you're going to miss out on whatever everyone else is doing.
And I can kind of add on to that. So I was actually thinking about it the other day. It's such an insane like cut from literally just last year talking to like the program directors and them sharing music that they're probably going to play on air, and they're saying, oh, it's doing really well, all the counts and people are voting it really nicely. And then one day it just started becoming this new trend. Well, it's really popular on TikTok. Well, it's really popular on this. Well, it's really popular on that. And it's so interesting to see the way that that's now held so high to, just to everybody, even on their personal Instagram, like you were saying. Like, it's just become this new quota that they have to check. Like, we need a good song. We need this new trending song. And now it's so interesting to see social media affect radio in that way, instead of just like, oh no, it's really doing well, but it's also really, really popular. So we need to have it on there, even if it's just for a week or so. So it's very interesting.
And it just brings in the listeners. It just brings them and new listeners, because the older demographics, they're on TikTok as well, and they have that opportunity to call up their on-air talent and say, hey, why don't you guys play this? Why don't you guys play that? So the listeners do have that power to speak to the programming department and to take a lot of the guesswork out and the data out and listen to the listeners. And in this climate, I mean, silence is no longer cool. So speak up. Talk to the program directors. Yeah, talk to the talent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great quote. I would love that on a pillow. It's really great. But yeah, so we have one more kind of fun Q&A question in which you guys are the listeners. So Sydney, if you'd like to ask your Q&A question.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Sydney. My question is, what album/albums do you listen to all the way through without skipping a song?
Oh, it's a couple.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, there's definitely
there's a couple.
I could start with off the top of my head. I mean, when I think about things like this, I think about some of my favorite artists. And while I do work with tons of hip hop artists and I love hip hop and electronic music, actually some of my favorite artists are like emo rock bands, but that's just because I was really passionate about that music at the time. So I think about albums like Tell All Your Friends by Taking Back Sunday. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one, but that's bangers beginning to end. Whatever the first Panic at the Disco album was, I can't remember what it was called, the one that had the big song on it. And oh God, there's so many. And think about hip hop records. I think about records like Nas, Illmatic, some like classic 90s. There's tons of, like at that era of hip hop, tons of records that were just great through and through. Not only just because the music was good, but just, cultural impact and things like that. Yeah, that's just a few off the top of my head.
The ones that I can think of off the top of my head is, I'm a huge The Killers fan. They're like one of my favorite bands of all time. So Day and Age is one of my favorite albums of all time. And I'm a huge lover of The Clash as well. So London Calling is also one of my favorite albums that I can listen to on repeat over and over and over again. And more recently, one that I've been kind of really obsessing with lately is like Blackpink just came out with their first full album. So I'm a huge K-pop fan as well. So I've been listening to that on repeat as well. And that has some bangers on it. So I'm really, really into that one right now.
The Cardi feature is incredible.
It's so good. It's just like from beginning to end, it was worth the wait. I'm so happy.
Well, I'm skewing a little older, so I'm going to go with the Donna Summer. Anything she put out, I'm not only listening to it, but I'm dancing through the whole album. So let's start there. The next one is, because I'm all over the place on the spectrum. So the next one is the first album that Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle. I don't remember. So I can listen to that and still listen to that, and I know every word. And then and definitely Prince, the Purple Rain album, definitely classic. So that's my top three. So yeah, definitely high energy. Yeah, all of them is just high energy.
And
Don't chill for me. Don't chill for me.
Great. Well, I think that wraps up our Q&A section. But I do believe we have a quick wrap-up question for you guys.
Yes, this is a question for all of you. What is your favorite part about working in the music industry?
Well, for advertising, it's all the perks. Okay, you dangle a perk. So it's all the perks. So in the music industry, if you choose to get into advertising, know that there are perks, there's trips, there are just cash cards, there is always a contest. And I am perk driven. And, I have gone to the Bahamas on trips and dinner for two, 4 or 5. I love it, I love it, I love it. So if you're getting into advertising, know that there's a whole lot of perks in the media industry.
Can't argue with that.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think definitely the perks are great for sure. I'd say my favorite part, it's a little different now with COVID and, not being able to go out and like touring. I'm not sure when touring is going to come back, but I pray that it's sooner than later. I think that was my favorite part, is like really getting out to the shows and like getting in front of the artists and in front of their managers and people at the labels and things like that. Networking is huge. The benefit of, knowing some of these people and having access to these people is incredible. Having a solid network, and, being an entrepreneurial mind and trying to, develop yourself professionally. I think the best part about working in the industry is really just the access that you have to a lot of these people, especially when it comes to like going to shows and stuff like that, because it's the best of both worlds. You're looking at a business opportunity, but you're also looking at an incredible opportunity to just have a good time. You catch people in a different light as well, out of the office and in a way where you can kind of, talk and vibe into a different, scenario or a different space. That was my favorite part, is really just getting out to the shows and meeting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree with Marco. My favorite part was anytime we did an event for any type of show, even for the stations that I thought I wouldn't even like now I love country music. I didn't think I would, but now I do. And it's all because we got to go out to these events and meet all these great people. But another thing was that from promotions wise, people coming up to you and just telling you like, I won tickets through the station. Like, I'm so happy. Like, just like knowing that you just made somebody's night just because they called in, just because we were giving away these tickets or anything like that. It was so nice to be around. And, it's kind of the same thing, you got to make somebody else's night, but then you also get to enjoy a really good show as well. So it was a great experience all around.
Yeah, really quick to add to that, I think I was just like, when you're talking about like, making someone else's day, I think that working in the music industry, a lot of these things that you do that are really fun or that maybe aren't super fun to you, like going to a show or something. I know some people are like, oh, I got to go to a show tonight. It's the 5th one this week or whatever. Like
right.
That I totally understand. But yeah, I totally with you with like making someone else's day, because there's so many things that we have the opportunity to do, and, people that we have the opportunity to be around all the time that, is really special, but to us might seem normal because it happens so often. But being able to bring, someone from the station or, a contest winner or even your friend, like putting them in your shoes and kind of putting them in an environment that maybe they're not, usually don't have access to, is it's such a cool experience to be able to do that and really like.
It's like you're getting to share something with them.
Absolutely.
Something that you love so much, you get to share with somebody else that you don't even know, but you're both just there enjoying everything, and it's such a wonderful thing. Yeah.
It is. And just being in that advertising department and, having one of your clients say, oh yeah, come on backstage and meet their favorite artist. And and of how appreciative and warm, and that actually creates the family bond and the partnership, and knowing that the radio stations and its personalities and the artists, family, and it makes that awesome connection that you really can't describe. You more like feel it. You feel the synergy, you feel the warmth, you feel the gratitude, you feel the love.
And it sounds like whether it's come on Backstage or come on to the Bahamas, there's love in radio promo. So
Touche.
Well, thank you guys so much. This was seriously such a great conversation. I'll leave it to Mia to wrap it up, but we're so appreciative of your time.
Yes, thank you all so much for joining us, and to our wonderful attendees. As you know, you can follow us on our social media, just at Color Visa Collective for everything to find out the details about our next panel. But we hope everyone has a great rest of your night, and thank you all so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you,
having me.
everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you. Mwah, mwah.